So we found out on Monday Night Raw that next week, Rey Mysterio will have his retirement ceremony. Now, of course, WWE are building this up. This is a huge thing. Rey Mysterio is a legend. He's a guy who worked in ECW, in WCW. He came to the WWE. He basically became the Cruiserweight division on SmackDown originally, and then he transcended that to be a world champion. He's like the ultimate underdog, and people love him. Now, when this was announced on Raw, there was a lot of confusion on the commentary table. Byron Saxton saying, does this mean Rey Mysterio is announcing his retirement, for example? Well, obviously, that's kind of implied in the name here. Rey Mysterio's retirement ceremony. It kind of does imply Rey Mysterio is going to retire. Or does it? Because I think the wrestling universe is asking that question right now, and I think there's a very simple answer. I really don't see it happening. And the main reason I don't is because of this man, Seth freaking Rollins, the Monday Night Messiah. Of course, we all know what Seth's doing right now on Monday Night Raw. He's got his new disciples in Buddy Murphy and, of course, Austin Theory. Really good tag team. I love the look of them tonight on Monday Night Raw. I love that the commentators were calling them the disciples. Actually, them seemingly having some kind of name instantly helps the team. I prefer this pairing over Murphy and the AOP a lot. I'm really behind this. Really, I am. Now, if you remember 2 weeks ago on Raw, Rey Mysterio got his eye pushed into the steps by Seth Rollins in that heinous, calculated assault. And Seth was all deranged. His hair was a mess. He wasn't thinking straight. He wasn't looking at the camera. He wasn't looking at Murphy. He was unresponsive throughout the entire match. And afterwards, Seth had no idea what he'd actually done. And I think the clue here is in the name, retirement ceremony. We've seen Seth Rollins be a preacher in the ring before. It's only right, therefore, that Seth Rollins would be hosting this ceremony. Now, you might be thinking, how can Seth Rollins do that? Of course, we have sort of seen something like this in the past. Of course, maybe Seth Rollins comes to the ring, announces he's officially retired Rey Mysterio, maybe uses that mask as some kind of way to say that he's the man who retired Rey. That's what I kind of think anyway, and I think there's something bigger at play that we have spoken about in the past. I mean, this week on Raw, Seth had Humberto Carrillo up against the steps. Well, his disciples did anyway, at his command. And of course, Seth Rollins used it as like emotional blackmail to Aleister Black. And I need to point out as well, the fact that fans were there in attendance as well really added something to it. To see these guys shocked and horrified that Seth could do this to Carrillo, like, this was huge. This was heinous. But what Seth said was even bigger. Seth was saying that he took out Rey because he had to, almost like someone made Seth do it. And we've seen him sort of holding that mask up like it's a trophy on Raw tonight. And I think next week he's going to use that mask to sort of announce Rey's retirement. I don't think that Rey Mysterio is retired. The match we all assumed we'd get a Backlash would be Black versus Rollins. Well, we're getting that next week on Raw. So it makes you wonder what the match would be at Backlash. And I think we're probably, because we're getting Black versus Rollins on Raw, I think we're going to be seeing Rey Mysterio versus Seth Rollins at WWE Backlash 2020. Now, we did do a theory video 2 weeks ago after Seth attacked Rey, asking, did Seth Rollins let The Fiend in after his match? Could Bray Wyatt's Fiend somehow be controlling the Monday Night Messiah? Honestly, that video did really well. It's got thousands of views, hundreds of likes. It's completely insane how much you guys supported that video. But honestly, even after tonight, with Seth saying that, like, basically saying that someone made him do it, it was for a purpose, it was for a cause, I still think it's likely that maybe the Fiend is pulling on the strings of Seth Rollins. Now, I think this is a really good idea. People will tune in next week because Rey Mysterio is a legend. Rey Mysterio is the guy for a lot of people, and the thought of him retiring will make people want to watch and see what happens. Well, obviously, what a way to get heel heat for Seth. For Seth to come out and just say, I've retired Rey. This could make the return of Rey Mysterio even bigger, especially now there's an audience back. But let me know your thoughts. Will Rey Mysterio retire next week on Raw? In the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you as always next time. Peace!